Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Dutch Duck Speed Selling. This is Raging Verbalist number 334 for those keeping track. If you're new, welcome. Glad that you're here. If you're subscriber and all that, glad that you're back. Going to talk about some exciting things today. And one of which, of course, is the big event on the stock market, which is SpaceX is going public today. We'll talk about that. Quickly, I should just point out that you can find us on YouTube every week and also on my Facebook group, which is Position to Win Book, and check us out there. Quickly, want to point out that this is not financial advice. These are opinions that are my own. It's what I do, and just put some things out on the table. So the question is will those who invest early in SpaceX, meaning today, because as I'm recording this today, it is the opening, the launch, the IPO, the initial public offering, and will those people regret it? In other words, they're buying in at too rich a valuation, as some people have said, and therefore they're paying too much. And fundamentally, this isn't going to be supported and it cannot be sustained. Well, that's the whole point of how people make bets. It was significantly oversubscribed, I guess, by like 4x. And there are some big money players that are buying, like the Saudis are buying $1 billion worth, and others are buying millions of shares. And well, that kind of gives you a sense of how hot this thing is. I can tell you that I decided to, so why did I decide to invest in SpaceX? Well, first and foremost, I think that it's going to be a transformative technology. It's not a brand new company. In fact, having read Walter Isaacson's book on Elon Musk and how much energy and effort Elon has put into this, and frankly, where SpaceX is going, I believe that if you look at offering the internet all over the world and that connectivity and getting a subscriber network, that's going to be continuous revenue. I think that that's really going to happen. In fact, several years ago, I was interested in buying a house in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I was on the outskirts of Wyoming. Weather besides that, distance away from the city, besides that, one of the biggest holdbacks for me was the fact that you couldn't get internet access out there. They used a relay service, which is like this rural thing. And that meant that I was going to get at best 10 megabits per second, which is just, I can't run my businesses off of that, which means that I would have had a problem. Now, today, I could easily do that because of SpaceX. I could get the kind of performance I need. Could I do what I'm doing right now, which is recording this on Zoom? Don't know, to say the least, but it is a big step forward, and it is changing how that world works. So I did it because I think it was well worth it. So how many shares did I end up getting in the allocation? For those of you who've never done an IPO investment, again, this is just my experience, and I've been through a few of these. But what you do is, and this one, by the way, is very cool because Elon said, look, we're going to hold the price on the allocation at $135 a share. And, yeah, that's steep, but $135 a share. See, the cool part about the way the world works today is you can actually buy one share of something, and in some cases, fractions of shares, but, one share. So I asked for more on my allocation, and I ended up getting 18. So, 20 something $100, $2,500. So it's not going to, make or break my fortune. Who knows? As somebody pointed out to me earlier this week, if you had invested $5,000 in Tesla at its launch today, that's over $1 million. Well, we'll see if we're going to go that far. But this is a richer valuation than that. The question is, will SpaceX as a company end up making money? Well, SpaceX is actually pun intended, a constellation of different companies, and therefore, it's an AI company, it's a space launch company, it's a internet service provider via space, and all of that. Well, I can tell you that yes, I think that all of those together will end up making money. And the other part is that since Elon has built out some amazing data centers, and he's already announced deals to lease, to both, I guess it's the one I know is Google is actually renting some processors from him. Interesting how the world spins back around. By the way, IBM made its big money early on, high margin business by renting CPU time. It was called the timeshare uh, method of doing that. Now, where do the IPOs that are coming out? Because there's two more. There's going to be one for ChatGPT and also for the guys who do Claude Anthropic. And yes, my intention right now, not my obligation, but my intention is to, in fact, try to buy into both of those IPOs. We'll see if they're as, if you will, friendly to the public investor, because usually the insiders get to buy the shares. And a mentor of mine did very well during the bot.com boom, being able to buy early on. I was not able to get in on any of those because I just didn't have enough dough. You needed to have like he hooked me up with his broker, and his broker said, well, the bottom ante is $100,000. Well, I didn't have $100,000 laying around, so this is kind of cool. I mean, and yes, I wish I'd gotten more shares. We'll see if I'm super happy about that, but I got 18. You know, so how is this different than the dot-com boom? I made sure I had notes on this one. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I think it's different is that when the dot-com boom was going on, essentially companies that had no revenue, no business plan, seemingly, other than that they were on that dot-com run, could go out and go public, raise a bunch of money, and they would go bust, and it was not pretty. Now, some companies emerged. Amazon, wow, I wish I had been riding that train, and clients who rode that train and did very well, and others, but there was a lot of junk. I think that it's a little bit different today, and in fact, it is seemingly, this is SpaceX is really a 20-year endeavor for Elon Musk. In fact, this morning at a press conference, or I guess it was when they rang the bell for the Nasdaq to launch it, he said from Starbase in Texas that this was in fact 20 years in the making, and he only gave it a 10% chance. But wow, have they gone a long way? Now, this brings up the question: when speculation gets as high, is this the top of the market? Is this, the stock market's done? Is this, wrapped up because this is the world's largest, biggest IPO? Usually, when you see these blowouts, this is usually a indicator of the top. And my suggestion is that I don't think it is. Again, I'm betting with my own money. You make your own decisions about what you're going to do. Now, what I can tell you is that, and this is a very important aspect with my book. Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Elon has made it past those 3 to 5 years, and he's put the money in there, and the positioning couldn't be better. He's in the launch business. He's in the IP business. He's in the renting CPU business. So he's going to have a steady amount of revenue, which I think is quite smart. And you're going to see a lot of people moving there. Frankly, when you see the fact that the cell phone world is taking over the ISPs locally, but it's hit and miss. I mean, I couldn't use like AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile at my house, but I could use potentially SpaceX. We'll see how it goes. Right now, I've got cable, and cable is good. Not the best, but cable is good. So, I think that they will, in fact, start making money, which is a big deal. And that ends up with my question was, how will you prepare for the future of space? Because I think space is going to be a very interesting market going forward. We had a very long pause in getting serious about space. It was tied up with NASA, and I was, I'm proud to say I was selling into those projects and programs, but they were always starving for money and never really moving at breakneck speed. It's good to see that somebody's getting in there commercially, who's got a drive and a motivation, whether he makes it to Mars or not. He's pushing out the envelope. So the question I have for you is, how will you prepare for space? And in other words, the space market itself, and learn from it and move things forward in the best possible way. And with that, this has been Raging Verbalist 334, and we'll see how I'm doing and whether I'm in happy mode or tearful mode. But all I can tell you is I'm a player, because I am the big believer in those who will tell me John, and it's my favorite aspect. I'd sit next to people on the plane and say, well, I knew, and they would pick a company. Google was an example. I knew Google was going to be a success. And I'm sitting on a Southwest flight. And I said, what are you doing on a Southwest flight? If you knew Google was going to be this breakthrough, then why aren't you like on a private plane? And that's because, well, like 99% of them, I only found actually one person over the many years of flights where they told me they knew this was going to be that anybody actually really owned shares. Until next time, this has been John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Sweet Selling. It's been Raging Verbalist 334. Have a great one, and hopefully we'll all be better off because of SpaceX and what's going to happen in the future.